How's it going, everyone? Matt, Leighton, Shawn battle. Welcome back to another real estate video. Guys, it is Thursday, August the 8th. I have finally gotten the date right. We should have a celebration. Usually I get the date wrong. Today's video is going to be about foreign investors in the United States. I just read a headline that stated that foreign investment in the United States is down 40 billion. With a B. A big old B.
40 billion.
40 billion year over year. We're going to get into why the investments in the United States real estate economy, which has just gone up and up and up, is down $40 billion. Shawn, how's it going today?
Good, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So
I think our local market, right, is crushing it. Matt has 3 new listings. We got
So I got 3 new listings, but over the weekend I went up to upstate New York to visit some family, and I spoke with one of my cousins who just bought a flip up there. He said he was selling his property, paid his agent 6%. No professional photos with 6%.
Ooh.
Nothing.
See the difference when you come here, different markets? I mean, it drives me nuts.
He sent me the listing like 6 months ago, and I responded to the pictures that I saw, and I cannot repeat those words on camera just because they are very inappropriate of how offended I was.
Yeah, no, it's amazing the level of agent activity here and what we do for our clients compared to other markets. I was in Florida last week in a little town called Sebastian. Again, just not the level,
right.
No professional photography, all that good stuff. So we're in a really good market here. We've got a few buyer clients that we just got under contract, all competitive, every single one of them. Thankfully, we won, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, so they're going to be settling in 2 in the next week.
Good stuff. That's a good week.
1 like yesterday, yeah.
Congrats.
So
the article is on curb.com. I have my little laptop here, and by my laptop, I mean Shawn's laptop. So foreign property sales down $43 billion year over year. What this is looking at is purchases made by foreign investors compared April of 2018 to March of 2019. And it goes on to say that in terms of the number of properties, 83,000 properties were purchased in April of 2018. 83,000 were purchased this year, March of 2019, compared to 266,000 properties last year. This to me is startling. It is shocking.
It is shocking. It's pretty significant. And I guess what we have to look at are the reasons why this is happening. So naturally, trade talks, all that stuff is squashing maybe the foreign investors. Let's talk about where most of these investors are coming from. I think it was 50 some odd % are actually from China.
Yeah.
So that Chinese investment has slowed down significantly. Even a higher percentage of the investors have dropped from China. So why is that? There's tensions in China. The government has made some changes on their investment side as far as what the citizens have to report. So all of these things are going to have a drop in the Chinese investment.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be harder for the Chinese to take out their money out of those Chinese banks, and a little bit more difficult to invest. A couple of videos ago, we were talking about the Vancouver real estate market and how a lot of Chinese were investing in the Vancouver real estate market, and then that's kind of cooled down. 2 parts. 1 part, harder for the Chinese to withdraw money. Second part, I believe there's a higher tax imposed by the Vancouver government on real estate property taxes for foreign investors. So you kind of have this twofold effect of basically both sides of the coin here are making it more difficult for foreign investors to purchase real estate in the United States. And we need to start talking about what areas foreign investors have been targeting as the safest areas for real estate. Because if you want to park your cash, you're probably going to do it in New York, in Miami, in Los Angeles, and in California.
Yeah.
And we were in Miami not too long ago, a couple months ago, and every Uber driver that we spoke to was talking about the foreign investors, how people just come in, shell companies. And, the New York Times did a huge expose, I think last year, on these shell companies that buy out entire condo floors and they just keep it empty for the entire year, and they may live in it as a pied-à-terre for 1 week or 1 month out of the year. So this is usually at the higher end of the market, and we're kind of in a bubble here in the DC region. And the bubble, it doesn't mean it's a bad term, it just means that things have always been pretty good. Even when they're going down, they're going pretty good. So are Chinese investors that are buying out entire condo floors, is that going to affect the DC market? At what point? I mean, this is $43 billion worth of real estate that we're talking about. At what point are homeowners, are buyers in this area going to start to feel that?
Well, I mean, I was in Miami a couple of weeks ago, and I think we were talking before about how the Miami market is actually suffering. This article is saying a little bit different, but there are tons of foreign investors, and you've got to think not only are they Chinese, but they're from Argentina, they're from Brazil, Venezuela. We see what's going on in Venezuela and in those countries right now where it's harder to invest and there's uprising and all that stuff. So all of these things are going to have that kind of effect on those markets. So yeah, Miami I think is suffering, and I think days on market is up, all of that. So is it going to transition here? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that. From what I read, I think a lot of the buyers are students, right? So students that come here and workers on visas are going to buy and then move or sell when they leave.
Yeah.
The whole Miami thing is a little different, where they're just buying blocks of it and just holding on to it.
Because it's sexy, right? It's sexy to buy in Miami. Right. It's sexy to buy in New York. It's not sexy to buy in Foggy Bottom, right? No one ever got sized for Foggy Bottom. Who gets sized for the Watergate?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
maybe some people do.
You never know. I mean, but we are seeing a lot of investors come into this area. Maybe not. Well, I guess I am seeing foreign investors, right?
Yeah,
we've seen them lately.
We've seen some, and I want to read off the quantity of properties, because it's one thing to say 40 billion, and that number is so large that it may not comprehend. It just sounds like this epic number, which it is. So this is the total number of properties purchased year over year. I'm not going to, so let me just start with 2015. I'm not going to say every year, but 2015, 200,000, and then 215,000, 284, 266,000 last year, and now we're at 83,000. And then the chart goes on to show that the Chinese value, the number of investors of Chinese people. So clearly lots of Chinese. But the bigger question is this a good thing? Do we want the Chinese to come in here and buy up entire floors of condos? I think that's the question we need to be asking.
Right. I personally don't. It's pushing our markets up and making it harder for the U.S. people to purchase.
Yeah.
And it's giving I guess a false sense of safety, right, in a lot of these markets. So if most of them are just waiting for the increase in value, they're pushing themselves up a lot of times. And we've seen that locally too, where people are coming in from different areas thinking and hoping and banking on the fact that these markets are going to just go up and all they have to do is sit on it.
Right.
So I don't think it's healthy at all, personally.
Yeah, and it just comes down to when a foreign investor purchases one of these condos or one of these luxury homes, they add nothing to society. They're not in town at all. Maybe once, 1 week out of the year, 1 month out of the year. They don't patronize the local businesses. They don't add back to the community, and there's not a lot of benefit other than the county or the city collecting property taxes. And in addition, like you just mentioned, they also artificially drive up the price of these real estate properties. Now listen, Shawn and I are both salespeople. If someone from China called tomorrow and wanted to buy something all cash, what do you think we'd do? We would help them. But in the grand scheme of things, when you have people that are clearly just parking assets and it gets up to $40 billion, it's just not a sign of a healthy economy when you have people from halfway across the world that have no intention of living here come in, purchase properties, and then make it harder for everyone else in town to purchase properties.
That's right. Yeah, and let's talk about, areas and who is buying in these areas. So I read in that article, Florida is naturally one of the biggest investment areas, the entire state. We're seeing a lot of Canadian investors, right? So those people are buying why are these people buying and why are they not buying, right? So the Florida investor is usually the people that are looking for like the snowbirds, right?
Yeah.
The Canadians that want some warm weather. So that's a big chunk of them. Texas is the third largest state that is pulling foreign investors.
That's surprising.
That's surprising, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, most of these people are from India because those students are looking for tech jobs. So they're moving into Texas for that. And then also the nearby like Mexican investors looking for something to invest in and hoping that it goes up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about Mexico City, so there's probably money there, right, for the wealthy, and that makes sense. I'm surprised that we don't hear more about Mexican investors. I'm surprised Indian investors aren't taking over.
No.
Maybe now that we're seeing the Chinese slow down a little bit, and the article mentions Trump, right? They mentioned the tariffs, the trade talks and whatnot. And it's really hard to say because of A, B happened, right? It's never, whenever something happens, people want to be like, this is the exact reason. And sometimes that's true, but for the most part, it comes down to the confidence that people have in the United States real estate market. And when that confidence is challenged, you lose $40 billion of foreign investment.
That's right. And I feel like the national market, the national real estate market has been under pressure lately and it has been falling. If you look at any of these other markets, that's what you hear. You hear that the New York market isn't as good, the California market isn't as good, the Miami market for sure. Thankfully, our market is still pretty good and booming. But I mean, and then you've got to think about what are governments doing to restrict the foreign investment, right? So in that article, they talked about a visa that's called an EB-5. I really don't know much about it, but it's a visa to purchase an investment in. So what they did was the U.S. now put a qualification on that where it used to be a $500,000 purchase, and now they've upped that to a $900,000 purchase. So that is pushing a lot of the foreign investors out that way.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yep. And then you've got to think, all right, when foreign investors sell, and this comes up in our FIRPTA laws, right? Foreign investors, if you are a foreign investor and you're going to sell, and that purchaser is purchasing for a owner-occupied property, that foreign investor can have up to 10% of the sales price held by the title company to pay taxes. Between $300,000 to $1 million. Anything over $1 million, they're going to have 15% of that value held by the title company. So if you think about, if these people got loans and they didn't put a lot of money down, or the market dropped and there's a 15% hold from the title company in order to pay taxes, a lot of those transactions might not even go through because there's not enough money in the pot to hold that money. So what happens then? Then you're going to see a lot of foreclosures and things. So if markets start falling and values start falling, and these foreign investors want to try to get out, and they're not cash rich in these transactions, it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we're in an area that I don't want to say is dependent upon foreign investment, but if you look at what's happening in New York City and Manhattan, I mean, the luxury end of the market is just moving at a snail's pace, and in Miami too. So at some point, we've got to think that that's going to affect the regular Joe Schmo, But these penthouses that are $10 million, if you're buying a one-bedroom condo, who cares if a $10 million condo doesn't sell, right?
Right.
But at some point, if this just comes to a halt, I do think things will change. Things will change drastically.
Yeah.
So
we can't have a lot of foreign investment and then have nothing and expect the markets to sustain.
Literally, no one wants people buying $40 million places. Who
It's ridiculous.
who wants that?
Yeah.
Other than real estate agents.
Yeah. Me. Sell it.
Other than Shawn. Cool. All right, man. They have just such a beautiful picture of South Beach on here.
Yeah,
Just
that
wanna
is
go
nice.
back.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
We're leaving to South Beach. We will see you later.
Well, see you later. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching for Shawn and for myself. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.